right, go for it.
And welcome everyone. It's that time again, and you know what day it is. It's time for Hanging with Harley, where Harley will be breaking down the news, the views, and the things that are important to me. There's so many things going on. So, without further ado, Harley, I don't want to take up much of your time, man. This is wow. Where do we begin, bro? Look, I mean, I guess we start with Trump and Comey.
I think to understand the Trump-Comey situation, you have to, again, get to the strategic heights and realize we're in an all-out war in the United States.
Yeah,
The contending sides are not going to give in, and that's good news if you're tired of the old Bush and Clinton crowd, because Trump is going to fight. Now, he doesn't always do the right thing, and sometimes he gets distracted. He's got some real rotten eggs in his cabinet. But on the whole, his intentions are quite good because the intention is to move away from regime change wars, to move away from the kind of geopolitical conflicts that have
right,
defined the most of the post-war period, and to move away from the globalized financial system, which has support from both major parties in the United States. And Trump ran against that when he took on the Bush machine and the Clinton machine. Now he got distracted and diverted, no question about it. And you can understand it because he was faced from the very beginning by a lying media, by an intelligence community that was out to destroy him, by Democrats who were so shocked by the loss of Hillary that they didn't know what to do. And I
right.
think by Republicans who were also shocked by Trump's victory because they're on the other side. A whole section of the Republican Party is not going to go along with Trump's desire to put an end to the military-industrial complex. So that's why there's a war.
Hmm.
Now, besides the firing of Comey, which we can talk about, the other thing worth noting is that today Trump is scheduled to meet with Sergei Lavrov, the Russian foreign minister. There continues to be a good direction in US Russian policy and US China policy. This has implications for getting an anti terrorist peace in Syria and also for kickstarting the global financial, or the global, I should say, economic productive system, which has otherwise been savaged by the speculative bubble favored by Trump's enemies.
Yeah.
So as long as you see the world from this kind of clear battle lines, then all the obfuscation and diversion doesn't turn you away from the direction we have to go. The problem is people who spend so much time trying to figure out the implications of every single move. You can never do that because some of these things are inadvertent, some of them are well planned, some of them are part of what you might call a conspiracy to destroy the nation. But deep down, if you understand this as a battle between two historic opposing worldviews, that of an empire versus that of the American system,
Hmm.
then you can make sense out of it and then do something to make the American system succeed.
Hmm. Absolutely. I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think the firing of Comey is so timely. We've seen somebody I mean, this is a guy who absolutely refused to allow Hillary Clinton to speak under oath and testify under oath. This is a guy who, with the bleach bit characters, he was telling them, hey, you know what, you want to come and testify, I'll give you all immunity, and then go in there and plead the fifth, and then laugh about it and make a big joke about it. And that Hillary's assistant, Cindy Thompson, whatever her name was, Cindy Miller or whatever, where she sits there and pleads the fifth after she was involved in breaking 14 Blackberries with a hammer. I mean, this is the type of gross incompetence that was under Comey. And we're seeing a clear link here, Harley, between Comey, between Mohammed Jamal Brennan, and the one and only James the Clapper.
Well, I will say one thing in Clapper's defense, which is that when he was before the Senate committee the other day, he said he has seen no evidence of Trump collusion with the Russians. Now, somehow that didn't appear in the media
Yeah,
because everything they covered was Sally Yates and her story.
right.
I think on the Comey thing, look, here's what's most important to me. If you read the Assistant Attorney General's letter which was the basis for Trump firing Comey.
Rad Rothenberg, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
he makes a simple point. That is that Comey was incompetent in his handling of the Hillary emails. Now, this is an interesting way of putting it because it throws it right back in the face of Democrats. Remember, the Democrats were all saying that Hillary lost because of the way Comey handled the thing. So the Democrats were all against Hillary. All against Comey. So now Trump fires Comey, and what do we see? Chuck Schumer saying, "Oh, this is an abuse of power," when Schumer was ready to hang Comey as recently as a couple of weeks ago. So
Exactly.
Trump did a beautiful job of twisting this issue to bring out the hypocrisy of those people who are trying to use Comey and the FBI to bring down Trump. So I think this was an example of, let's just say, very effective political maneuvering by the White House. And it's something that people who had given up on Trump ought to realize he's not a dummy and he still has a few cards to play. And the most important thing is that he not get totally caught up in the minutia of the day-to-day fight, because that's
Right.
what the whole media operation is designed to do, to get Trump sitting there tweeting about every little thing that's happening. Now, his meeting with Lavrov today, very significant given the shift back in the right direction for U.S.-Russian relations. I wonder if some of the Democrats are going to say that Trump should be thrown out of office because he's meeting with a Russian.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the hypocrisy is on full display right now. Now, then you have the other side of this in Europe, where everyone is now saying, look, the populists have been overturned. The Le Pen defeat shows that Europe is going to go in the same direction as Obama and Hillary Clinton, that Merkel is going to end up winning in Germany, which she probably will. But the point is, as more serious commentators are noting, this can't last. France is an economic basket case. Why? Because of the policies that Macron and Hollande implemented when Macron was finance minister.
Yeah.
So the idea that this is some fair-haired boy who has brilliant insights and clever ways of solving problems, it's just not true at all. He's another banker's boy, an errand boy. And the real story in France was the number of people who didn't vote and the people who voted either for neither candidate or the destroyed ballots, which might call into question the size of the landslide.
Exactly. And then there's a particular situation there. I mean, it was just revealed that Macron wants to have about what 10 million new refugees coming into France. Some
Well, I
insane
think,
number.
yeah, the main thing about Macron is that he is going to do whatever the City of London and their affiliates in Paris and Germany tell him to do. I mean, Le Pen had a very good statement in the last debate. She said, whatever happens in the election, France will be ruled by a woman after the election, either by her or by Angela Merkel. and that's what Macron represents, the continuation of this policy, which some people blame on Germany, but it's really the London policy that Germany is saddled with. And unless Germany breaks from that, Germany and France are going to go into an Italian-style banking crisis in the months ahead. Now, there
Yeah.
is a way out of that for Europe, and that is the joining of Europe with the Chinese and the Silk Road perspective. Next
Correct.
week in Beijing is the Belt and Road Initiative Forum, which is going to have
Hmm.
something like 40 presidents attending, close to 80 countries will be involved. We still don't know who Trump is going to send. We hope he sends someone who's relatively important because this is an important opportunity for the United States. But what's going to be discussed here is moving the world economy from the financial cliff of the speculative bubble into a realm of physical production, where
Mm.
credit is going to be distributed on the basis of what real wealth will be produced as opposed to what swindle can be implemented to make money for the traders. That's the
Yeah,
Chinese policy. And
absolutely.
assuming that this is what Trump wants for the United States, and I think there's good reason to assume that with his discussion of Glass-Steagall, his discussion of infrastructure. I think he's got some wrong advice on infrastructure because his public-private partnership doesn't function. But if you actually go with government-directed credit through the commercial banking system, not controlled by a central state agency, but through the commercial banking system to contractors who bid for contracts, the way it was with NASA in the 60s and 70s, you have a multiplier effect, both in terms of the money generated because of the production, but also a multiplier effect on productivity. And otherwise, the US is having a productivity collapse, which is continuing, and a corporate debt bubble, which is ballooning.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, Harley. Recently, in fact, I think it was today. You no, it was yesterday. The Henry Kissinger visited Trump. What do you think that was all about?
Well, it's hard to know because Kissinger is not one of our favorite people. The LaRouche movement spent a lot of time going after this guy as basically in the 70s, he was an agent of the British monarchy. As he
Sure.
admitted in a speech at Chatham House in 1978, he said he was working on British briefing papers when he was running the Nixon administration. Now, on the other
Hmm.
hand, the guy's been around long enough to know something about what works and what doesn't work. He was involved in the original openings to China. He's maintained certain connections in China and Russia. He was in Russia not that long ago. So I'm sure that Trump is trying to pick his brain to figure some things out. But I think what we're looking at here is a section of the establishment which realizes that under George W. Bush and Obama, and then with Hillary Clinton's input, that the establishment went crazy and did
Yeah.
things that even a previously oligarchical establishment, as of the Kissinger types, would back away from. Now, the
Hmm.
Brzezinski types, on the other hand, are gung ho for the wars. They're still committed to that. So I think you can probably draw a distinction between Kissinger and Brzezinski, though I wouldn't trust Kissinger to let him sit in the house of my aged aunt.
Yeah. Yeah.
You may find the silverware gone.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, this guy's walking around the White House and God knows what he's taking.
But I think it does reflect the fluidity of the situation, and that people think that all Trump does is watch CNN and Fox and send out tweets. Obviously, there's a process of evaluation going on, which includes Tillerson, and I think we actually should just reiterate the point about Tillerson's speech that has everyone hysterical, including especially John McCain, where Tillerson said, "Look, we have our values,
Yeah.
freedom, human dignity. These are our values and we support them. But we're not going to impose them on people who don't agree with us. We're going to work with them for common aims." And this is a rejection of the George Soros, Obama, Clinton regime change policy and color revolutions. This is extremely important because it means the United States is now going to be working with countries like Russia and China where there are common interests, instead of spending all our time ranting and raving about human rights violations without knowing a damn thing about what they're talking about.
Hmm. Hmm.
And this
Exactly.
has John McCain. You talk about a guy who's so predictable. You knew as soon as Tillerson said this, John McCain was going to come out and say, now the United States is supporting dictators. So, as though his support of Poroshenko is for pure democracy in Ukraine.
Oh, of course. And there's a support for ISIS and the moderate rebels, quote unquote, is for the betterment of peace in the Middle East.
Yeah, yeah.
Him and Lindsey Tickle My Butt Graham.
Well, what you have with these guys is a severe case of hypocrisy, but they're so so incapable of irony that they don't even realize how hypocritical they are.
Yeah.
There are people that truth somehow has escaped. They wouldn't know a truth if it flew into their nose. And so you've got people who take postures, positions that ultimately would lead you to an insane conclusion. Like what McCain proposes is ISIS running Syria, neo-Nazis running Ukraine, hardcore Russian chauvinists, military chauvinists who want to go to war, overturning Putin. That's what McCain
Yeah.
wants. Now
Hmm.
you have to ask yourself, what was done with him when he was in a Vietnamese prisoner of war camp that turned him into such a lunatic?
Recently McCain stated that him and two other Republican senators, I think it was Harley, that they're going to fight alongside the Democrats in stopping any of the Obama taxes from being repealed.
Well, I think if you want to start looking at the tax question, you've got to start with a policy to stop speculation. And if you don't do that, you can change the tax
Are you
code.
cut out? What Harley?
Yeah, I was saying that you've got to deal with the problem of speculation because otherwise you can change the tax code, but the only people who are really
Yeah.
going to benefit will be the speculators. And I think that's why Trump is now taking more seriously Glass-Steagall.
Hmm.
But he's going to have to fight people in his own party on this, as well as some completely crazy Democrats like Schumer.
Absolutely correct.
But I think
Harley,
he's in a
closing
fighting mood. That's the best news.
was it what?
I think Trump is in a fighting mood, and that's the best news right now.
I think so. I think earlier we had Bix on, and one of the things he said was that uh, all the gloves are off, and now it's a complete. He doesn't care anymore. He's just coming out swinging. He's in definitely a fighting mood. He doesn't care who he offends. The fact that he fired Comey, and as soon as he fired Comey, what was the narrative that was being pushed? Ooh, Comey was on the verge of breaking evidence of Russian collusion. Comey was on the verge of doing nothing, which is
Comey,
what he usually does.
he's had what? He's been working on it since last June, so it's almost a year. And
Yeah,
with all
exactly.
the
Almost a year.
sophisticated tracking equipment and everything else, if they have nothing after a year, as Clapper admitted, then there's nothing there.
Yep,
So why
exactly.
ask for more money and continue the process? Because they want to divert Trump and destroy the potential the United States has to break out of the old geometry.
Right. Exactly correct. Exactly correct. And now the Democrats are all of a sudden who hated Comey. They wanted this guy fired. Now they oh my God, it's egregious what Donald Trump has done. It's a breach of constitutional power. Like, get the heck out of here. It's unbelievable. I'm glad Comey's gone. And the
I,
fact, the
I,
fact that go ahead, Harry.
I think it was Robert Reich who said it's a whiff of fascism.
A
I
whiff
wonder
of
what Hillary
fascism.
Clinton has she commented yet on the Comey
No,
fire?
she's hiding. She's calling up her contacts in Bahrain and wondering if she could if they have any extradition treaties on them.
Either that or if they have some more money for the Clinton Foundation.
One or the other. I heard the Clinton Foundation hasn't taken any money recently because of all the heat that's on it. They haven't taken anything this year as of yet, from what I heard.
Yeah, probably we're going to start hearing from Hillary again about how poor she and Bill are.
They had such a rough life. Well, no one's seen Hillary. No one's seen Anthony Weiner today. Nobody knows where Weiner is. He might be in Colombia. He could be in a dumpster. Nobody knows.
I think check Instagram or one of those sexually dating websites. You'll probably find at least a part of him.
He's probably. I mean, experts have scoured every adult dating site out there, including Tinder. They cannot find Anthony
Yeah,
Weiner anywhere.
yeah.
I think we're gonna find Weiner somewhere in the New York marshes. That's right near the JFK airport.
It could very well be. At
Hmm.
least we might find a part of him there.
He's gonna a part of him. The other part's gonna be buried somewhere out in Pelham, Pelham
Yeah.
Bay.
Well, it's actually worthwhile to joke about these things because you've got to keep a sense of balance in this situation,
Yeah.
and you keep fighting. The optimism comes from the fact that there's a fight going on, and for a long
Yes.
time there was no fight. You had Republicans who were fighting Obama completely pathetically. You had Democrats who were fighting Bush in a completely pathetic way. And now you have someone who's swinging punches and landing some shots. And that's where the changes occurred. And I'd encourage people to go to the LaRouchePAC.com website. There was a very interesting discussion with Lyndon LaRouche the other day where he said that at this point in history, we have reason to be optimistic, provided we are looking in the right places. And I think
Yeah.
that's important for people to know because Lynn has a long history of exposing injustices, of being subjected to injustices. And he's, in spite of that, he's saying, look, I'm optimistic. We have a real shot now at changing the world.
Yeah. No, we really do. We really do. We're the cusp of great, and this was a great victory for all of us who love freedom. And I think, I was, worried, and you had to walk me off the ledge during that whole Syrian missile debacle.
Yeah.
And you were able to hold my hand and give me a there, and walk me off the cliff. But apart from that, we've had some tense moments, but I think this is a huge turn of events, and I think it's quite possible. I think it's quite possible that that Trump is basically setting these guys up big time in order to fail, including his son-in-law.
Yeah.
Word has it. Let's see what becomes of that.
Well, the only thing I would worry about is if Trump replaces Comey with Brennan.
Yeah, I'm hearing Gowdy could be in the running. There's talks about that, murmurs of that. There's murmurs of Giuliani. We shall see. Can you imagine Trey Gowdy and Jeff Sessions? Oh my
Well,
goodness.
Gowdy wouldn't be a bad choice. I think Giuliani would not be a good choice.
Yeah, got it. You're the second one that said that.
Yeah. He'll
Good
be
deal.
more.
All right, Harley, we're at the end of the show, man. Why don't you plug how the LaRouche Pack and how people can be active in the fight, because now is not the time to sit back and play spectator. Now is the time to engage the audience, engage the neighbors, your friends, your relatives, how people can get involved and put their skin in the game.
Well, I think the LaRouche Pack is a good place to start. As you know, we post things every day, quite a bit of material that's not posted anywhere else, partly because we have a very good intelligence group here in Europe. I've had the privilege now for almost a year to be working with our Wiesbaden intelligence staff, and we do a pretty good job from there. So you go to LaRouche Pack, you'll get stories you won't get elsewhere. And if people want to be in touch with me, just send me an email at harleysch@gmail, and I'll get back to you.
Absolutely. And with that being said, folks, you can follow us on Twitter at the Rogue Money. Check us out on Facebook, Rogue Money, and RogueMoney.net. You can also find us on the podcasts on iTunes as well as the Google Music Store, Google Play Store, and you can also see us on Apple News. I think we are the only alt media in Apple News, and we're going to be in Google News as well. So we're everywhere. And again, this broadcast is simulcast not only on YouTube but on iTunes, Tumblr, Periscope, Facebook Live, and Twitter. We are everywhere you want us to be. With that being said, thank you all for listening in.
As well.
Yes, we're also on the FISA court as well. You can find us on the FISA court as well. Very well said, Harley. With that being said, folks, enjoy your weekends, enjoy your day, take care. God bless.